Hey there, space explorers! Have you ever looked up at the night sky and felt a sense of wonder about the moon? It's our closest celestial neighbor, and yet it holds so many secrets. So let's dive in and uncover the wonders of our familiar stranger in the sky. Okay, first up, let's talk about moonquakes. Yes, you heard that right. The moon shakes and trembles. Now, before you imagine the moon doing the jitterbug, let's clarify. Moonquakes aren't quite the same as earthquakes. While Earth's quakes are caused by tectonic plates shifting, the moon's internal structure is a bit different. Scientists believe moonquakes are caused by a few things. The gravitational pull of Earth plays a role, as does the cooling and contraction of the moon's interior. Amazingly, some moonquakes can be pretty strong, up to 5.5 on the Richter scale. Astronauts even use seismometers during the Apollo missions to detect these lunar rumbles. Imagine feeling the ground shake beneath your feet while standing on the moon. Remember those iconic images of astronauts planting the American flag on the moon? Well, here's a mind-blowing thought. Those footprints and even the tire tracks from the lunar rover are still there. Yup, untouched and preserved for potentially millions of years. How is that possible, you ask? The moon doesn't have an atmosphere like Earth's. That means no wind, no rain, and no erosion to speak of. Those lunar footprints are like time capsules, frozen in the moment they were made. Imagine future explorers stumbling upon those prints centuries from now. It's a humbling reminder of humanity's incredible journey to another world. Talk about leaving your mark on the universe. Let's talk about moon dust for a second because this stuff is seriously weird. It's not like the dust bunnies you find under your bed. Moon dust is super fine, almost like powder, and it gets everywhere. But here's the kicker, it's also sharp. The lack of atmosphere on the moon means that tiny meteoroids constantly bombard the surface, grinding down rocks into this fine, abrasive dust. It can wear down spacesuits and even pose a health hazard if inhaled. Imagine having to dust your lunar module every day. Scientists are still learning about moon dust and its properties. Who knows? Maybe it holds secrets to new technologies or even clues about the early solar system. One thing's for sure, moon dust is far from boring. Hold on to your hats because this next fact is a real head scratcher. You might want to sit down for this one. The moon is actually shrinking. Yes, you heard that correctly. Our moon, the one that has been a constant companion to Earth for billions of years, is getting smaller. Yep, you read that right. It's not just a wild theory, it's backed by solid scientific evidence. It's not something we can see with the naked eye, but scientific measurements have confirmed it. Using data from lunar missions and sophisticated instruments, scientists have been able to detect these subtle changes. The moon is getting smaller, albeit very slowly. Over the course of millions and billions of years, these changes add up. So why is our lunar buddy on a diet? What could possibly cause such a massive celestial body to shrink? It all comes down to cooling. As the moon's interior cools, it contracts. This cooling process has been happening for billions of years. As the moon's interior cools over billions of years, it causes the surface to wrinkle and contract, much like a grape shrinking into a raisin. Don't worry though, this process is incredibly slow. The moon isn't going to disappear anytime soon. In fact, the changes are so gradual that they are almost imperceptible over a human lifetime. It's shrinking at a rate of about 1.6 inches or 4 centimeters every billion years. That's right, just a tiny fraction over an incredibly long period. That's a very, very long time. So while the moon is indeed shrinking, it's doing so at a pace that won't affect us or our future generations. Fascinating, isn't it? Ever heard of the dark side of the moon? It's a term that has intrigued and mystified people for generations, but it's a bit of a misnomer. The term dark side suggests perpetual darkness, but that's not the case at all. It's not actually always dark, but it is the side of the moon that always faces away from Earth. This phenomenon occurs because the moon is tidally locked to our planet. Tidal locking means that the moon rotates on its axis at the same rate that it orbits Earth. As a result, we only ever see one hemisphere from our vantage point. The far side of the moon remained a mystery for centuries. It wasn't until the advent of space exploration that we finally got a glimpse of this hidden world. And guess what? It's quite different from the side we're used to seeing. The far side is a rugged, cratered landscape, starkly contrasting the familiar face of the moon. It's more heavily cratered and has fewer of those dark, flat plains called maria. These maria are vast basaltic plains formed by ancient volcanic eruptions. Scientists are still trying to understand why the two sides are so different. Theories abound, but the exact reasons remain elusive. Some theories suggest that the lunar crust is thicker on the far side, which might explain the lack of Maria. This thicker crust could have prevented the volcanic activity that created the Maria on the near side. Whatever the reason, the far side of the moon is a treasure trove of unexplored territory, just waiting to be discovered. With each new mission, we uncover more secrets, bringing us closer to understanding our celestial neighbor. Future missions promise to reveal even more about this enigmatic landscape. Who knows what we might find? The far side of the moon holds the key to many of the moon's mysteries, and perhaps even some secrets about our own planet's history. You might be surprised to learn that some researchers say the moon does indeed have an atmosphere. But before you pack your bags for a lunar vacation, here's the catch. It's incredibly thin, almost a vacuum. We're talking about 1 trillion times thinner than Earth's atmosphere. This wispy lunar atmosphere is called an exosphere, and it's made up of some pretty unusual gases like helium, argon, and even sodium. Unfortunately, it's not nearly enough to breathe or to protect from the harsh radiation of space. Still, the presence of even a tiny atmosphere on the moon has some interesting implications. For example, it can create a faint tail of sodium gas that trails behind the moon in its orbit. How cool is that? Remember when we thought the moon was a dry, dusty place? Well, think again. One of the most exciting discoveries in recent years has been the confirmation of water ice on the moon. And not just a little bit, we're talking potentially vast reserves. This lunar water ice is mostly concentrated in permanently shadowed craters at the moon's poles, where temperatures are cold enough to keep it frozen solid. Scientists believe this water could be billions of years old, remnants from the early solar system. The discovery of moon water has huge implications for future lunar exploration. It could be used for drinking water, oxygen production, and even rocket fuel. Talk about a game changer! We all know the moon's gravity is responsible for the tides here on Earth, but did you know that the moon's influence goes far beyond the oceans? It actually affects our planet in some pretty surprising ways. For example, the moon's gravitational pull slows down Earth's rotation over very long periods. It's the reason why our days are getting slightly longer over millions of years. Thanks, Moon! And here's a fun fact. The moon even stabilizes Earth's axial tilt, which is what gives us our seasons. Without the moon, our planet's wobble would be much more extreme, leading to dramatic climate changes. Talk about an important job. So there you have it, a glimpse into the mind-blowing world of lunar facts. From moonquakes to shrinking size, hidden water ice to its influence on Earth, the moon is full of surprises. So the next time you gaze up at the moon, remember that it's not just a pretty face in the night sky. It's a dynamic, ever-changing world with its own stories to tell. Keep asking questions and keep exploring. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Curios, for more intriguing videos like this. Hit that like and bell notification icon while you're at it. Thank you for watching!